Shooters, you are now in your prep time. Your prep time has ended. With the magazine of 15 rounds making the addition one weapon. Is the line ready? The line is ready. Shooters firing 5 rounds in a time limit of 60 seconds. Stand by. Contact.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on all social media platforms. Let me know how I'm doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Let's get into it. We got a special guest hailing from Washington State by the name of formerly Captain Wesley Rice III. Hey, go ahead and say hello, sir.
Hey.
Hey, you sound excited to be on. What's going on?
Too excited.
I love the enthusiasm.
I appreciate it.
We'll get right into it. Actually, before we get into the meat and potatoes, just kind of let the listeners know how do we know each other, where we know each other from.
You sure?
I mean, the wave tops.
Okay. Well, you and I, Israel, worked together. That's how we know each other. I'm sure our paths may have crossed at some point, but I can't remember exactly. But
I think you were in San Diego during the time I was in San Diego.
Yeah, we were at the depot together, I believe.
Overlapping years, I think.
Doing different jobs.
Yep, that's correct.
So, yeah.
Well, again, Wes, hey, I appreciate your time over Memorial Day weekend. I hope you're enjoying your time. Transitioning from the service, but that's the reason why I got you on. 30 days fresh out, no pun intended. Got your freedom papers, right?
Yeah.
We're all pretty stoked about that. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. And just real quick, let the listeners know full name, how long you served, where and why you got out, and where you're located, and what you're doing now.
All right. So as the Gunny said, my name is Wesley Rice. I go by Wes Rice. Served for over 20 years. I completed the last 3 of my years over at Marine Corps Security Force Battalion in Bangor, in Silverdale, Washington. And it's a little bit about me. Traveled all around, changed jobs a bunch of times, and wound up here.
Awesome. And you obviously retired. What are you doing now that you're transitioning from the service or transitioned already?
So, let's see. I started this a couple of years back, but primary responsibilities, or in addition to being responsible for dropping off the kids and picking them up from school and providing company to my dog in the middle of the day, I am a full-time real estate broker with Windermere Real Estate in Silverdale, Washington. And I actually got my license a little over 2 years ago, and I was doing that part-time, weekends, weeknights, whenever possible, in preparation for my transition. It was really important for me to be able to have 2 years of non-military income on my tax returns before I separated, so that I didn't run into any issues when I started buying homes, cars, or anything else I wanted. Primary interest was in buying homes, so that was the main motivation for getting into that line of duty, I should say.
I like the military lingo. We're not all the way out, but you're getting there. You're getting there, Wes.
I'm working on it.
Awesome. Hey, let's get right into it. All our services are going to end eventually, right? And some of us, good, bad, the ugly, we're all going to end eventually. What are some of the, in terms of transition, first 30, 60, 90, however long it's been so far, what are some of the cons that you faced during your transition from uniform to now civilian sector?
I'd say the biggest one, and most of those listening wouldn't be surprised to hear this, but like the biggest con is definitely not being able to see your people, or perhaps feeling bad about telling them how great retirement is when you do get to see them, because all you're doing is just bringing the reality back to them that they're not quite there yet, but they will be. But I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. It's not bad.
That's good. It sounds like you have it's kind of not that bad of a bad, but it's it's more of a intangible thing, like the relationship part, and showing them that it is good. You just got to put in the time and the work. Yeah, man, those young adults, impressionable adults, could get demotivated with that kind of information. But sweet, Wes. I again thank you for your service. And so then the pro should be really good then coming into this question. What's one of the biggest pros that you face so far in transitioning from service to uniform to now civilian?
Super good. And it is about the uniform. So the biggest pro is not having to wear boots anymore because I got poor circulation and it just got worse over time. Not pretty or comfortable. But no, joking aside, hands down, it's being able to be more present with my kids. Case in point, like when my first two, I got 4 kids, and when my first 2 were younger, I was able to coach or at least assist with a lot of their sports teams. And as they got older and I transitioned from being enlisted to officer, the roles and responsibilities changed. And then I didn't disclose this, but this kind of feeds into like why I retired when I did, but also because of some issues that I had with leukemia. Just not being able to participate as much made it difficult, and the schedule and in our line of work, it was just too unpredictable, or I was too burnt out by the end of the day, and it just wouldn't be fair to the kids or anyone else on the team if I wasn't able to give it my all on a more consistent basis. So not being able to do that and now being able to do it is pretty cool. And so, like I said, thankfully, I'm in a good place right now with my health, and I'm back to coaching baseball while my youngest 2 boys are playing now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I got another one.
Hit it.
So, and I've actually said this a few times over the last few days because everybody always wants to know how's retirement. And I think this will frame it pretty good. Last week, I found myself in a movie theater with my wife and the 2 little ones. We were watching a movie at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, and it was an early release day for them. So like we just took them straight from school, and they were surprised, and it was a good time. And so I'm sitting there, and there may have been 5 or other 6 people other than the 3-4 of us, in 3 different scattered groups. And it all just kind of hit just during the opening credits. Kids are happy, eating their popcorn. I'm looking at them, and they're just so happy and waiting for the movie to start. And all I could think was, like, I'm watching a movie with my kids at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, and that's okay. I got nothing to worry about. And it all kind of just hit. And so, like, if I can explain it in a good way, like that's the biggest pro for me right now, just being able to enjoy that situation with not a worry in my head. That's pretty amazing.
That's awesome, Wes. And again, thank you for your service, and you deservingly so. Spend that time with your family, try to get, quality time with them, because, you can't get it back. But I would agree. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Rodney from Hawaii, and his biggest thing was not having to worry about the stupid things that you have to worry about in service, in uniform, and maybe more so differently in all branches, right? Different strokes for different branches. But I think that me and you can agree that if we don't have to worry about the stress for 2 weeks, it's amazing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you might lose 5 to 10 pounds in the 2 weeks, but gain it all back a week later. But the stress level goes from, 100 in the black to just in the green. And that's awesome to hear that on a Thursday at 2 p.m. you could enjoy a movie without getting a phone call saying there's an investigation that you need to supervise.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. You get so conditioned in the military with always being on duty, and justifiably so, because it's what we get paid for, and your reward for undergoing all that stuff is you get stable pay, health benefits for you, your family, if you have one. And not to take it to a negative aspect, but just, you understand my role enough, and the role of many others, and depending on what we're doing. And I, in particular, had this irrational fear of just leaving my office or even leaving the building out of fear that somebody was always going to need something from me. And if I wasn't there, that I was somehow a bad officer or even a bad Marine. So I just had this tremendous difficulty leaving, even when it was lunchtime. And I'd either bring food to work or not eat at all. And unfortunately, that's way too common for a lot of us. And a lot of that was self-induced, but that was just the stress that I dealt with. And even if it was a Friday and the rest of the unit was gone, and I know you experience this often as well, they're gone or leaving, like we're still there. And I definitely don't miss that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Wes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's well-deserved, man. You know, obviously we can't all be there, but when we are there, we got to reminisce on the nastiness that we've experienced and all this embracing the suck. And now you look back, it's like, thank God I'm not there right now. I feel bad for them, right? Because you said it earlier, you feel bad about how good retirement is, but it's well-deserved, Wes. It's well-deserved. You deserve it and enjoy it. And, you know, eventually I'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. Don't worry, I won't get demotivated. So that's a big pro, ladies and gentlemen. That's a big pro, getting that quality time back. You know, that was those random moments where you can just go to the movie theater at 2 p.m. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's you know, everybody transitions. Everybody's going to transition. And what is the biggest takeaway from your military service that now you are applying to the civilian sector?
Biggest takeaway. You know, I think about it this way. The general population already has an opinion or perception or idea of people who are coming from the military, right? I've had a privilege of getting my license a couple years back and getting close with the brokerage that I work for, and so they all know me well enough, right? But as far as the perception, I believe generally it's a positive one. But regardless of whatever they think, I would say remember one thing: we, and this is for all those who are serving or served, volunteered to serve our country. And I'm going to get sentimental with you real quick, and I think you'll like this, but I'm going to say a quote: "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Do you know who said that? You remember?
I'll let the listeners figure it out, but it's one of the presidents.
That is right.
That is right.
Are you okay? Yeah. So JFK did that for his inaugural address. Obviously, I took note, right? But so I think about that, right? And that's what comes to mind with how I see things. And he wasn't just speaking to America's military; he was speaking to America. And so with that said, whether you're in the uniform or not, it's important that we continue serving those around us. And I think it's important so that we can progress as individuals, as people, and ultimately as a country. Is that too moto for you?
No,
but
that's it's pretty well said, Wes. I appreciate that. If you're listening, if you're not inspired already, I'll let him keep going. But that's that's pretty good. You know, it's what you can do for your country. You know, that's what we signed up for. It's unfortunately, maybe some of us have disagreements about pay, disagreements about education, whatever the case may be. But the bigger picture and the reality is you sign the contract and you're here to serve your country in whatever capacity they deem. And some is that's a lot. That's a hard pill to swallow for some. Because I remember talking to some of the Marines, young Marines that you know still, right? And you know, they talk about, man, I lost my freedoms. I go, well, did you though, or did you sign them over because you wanted to serve your country for a great, you know, something greater than yourself, right? And because you've innately given some of your freedoms away so that everybody else can have it, you already serve a greater purpose by doing that. So it is what it is, but I agree with you. I 100% agree with you, and thank you for that tidbit. I'm inspired, I'm motivated, and you're definitely mentoring me during this little session.
Good.
That's a big takeaway. That is a big takeaway, and everybody's gonna. We talk about transition, 30 days fresh out. Freedom papers on hand, and you could take a picture and send it to me later. How excited you are! But what's the one thing you miss from being in uniform then?
Yeah. Just to wrap up that last piece, like to fully answer your question, right? I would say that the military has enabled me to perfect what service looks like. And so that has allowed me to continue doing that because I get so much passion in helping people. And like, I don't know any other way, like help those who can't help themselves. I will continue doing that until I can no longer do that. But I'm sorry, what was your last question?
No, that's good. That's actually, everybody knows about the Good Samaritan. That's what that sounds like. Nice. Help others that can't help themselves in situations where they can't help themselves. Those that are able-bodied can get up in the morning and work, then you need to work. If you can't, then that's when we come in. And as far as the Good Samaritan story goes, that's good, Wes. That's good. It's the, you don't miss the stress. You don't miss those phone calls on the weekend where you had to come in. And, but everybody misses something. So what do you miss from wearing the uniform?
What do I miss? I miss making people uncomfortable, and feel like how I am, right? You had plenty of time to get to know me on a more personal level, but like I miss, and this is half sarcastically, but kind of not, like I miss making people uncomfortable and feeling that they had to talk to me when I was getting to know them, just because I was senior in rank to them. And at some point I realized like I'm just an old man and maybe people weren't as interested in what I had to say as I was interested in saying it. Right. So like it took me a long time to get to that point, but I think it's funny because I'm so open with people that I'm not afraid to embarrass myself. Like I'm just open. It's okay. Right. And I genuinely enjoy meeting new people and then just trying to find out what it is about them that makes them tick and whatever I can do in any way in a positive and meaningful way of like improving their life, whether it's just for a minute or for a day. I enjoy positive interactions and I enjoy doing for others. But if I'm not losing sight of the question, like I just enjoy those interactions where brand new Marine, staff NCO officer, whatever, a junior enlisted Marine coming in and feeling like they just had to talk to me because like, who is this guy? Like, why does he care so much? And I miss that. And now I'm a civilian and people don't have to stop and talk to me when I want to. So in fact, they're running the other way, but that's okay. I'd say that's one of the things I miss the most because I certainly don't miss all the stuff we've already discussed.
Yeah.
Not for a second.
Not for a second. Now I'm already starting to miss that. But we can always improve on we always have after actions of anything that we do, right? It doesn't even matter what it is. There's always a way forward. How do we improve, right? And I'm not saying you did it right. I'm not saying you did it wrong, but is there something that you could have improved in terms of preparing yourself and your family for a transition from the service? And then also like the listeners, like the ones that are transitioning, how can they improve from that?
Okay. I'd say I'm big on timelines, right? I think the Marine Corps, the military is in general, right? Back planning. So like, depending on what your current timeline is, like, can I think of anything that I would have done different? No, I don't. I think that I was hyper prepared for this transition that I've been working on for almost 4 years. And that's me. That's how I did it. I know there are a lot of people out there that do it that way. And so I'd say if you're getting out in the next, I don't know, 90 days, 6 months, if you don't have a plan right now, like on a personal level and a professional, like I as a person am like disappointed in you, because you're not the first person to get out. You're not going to be the last. There's so many people around you that are doing it. you owe yourself more than that. And if you have a family, a spouse and children relying on you, like, you messed up. And I don't know if that was the intent of your question, but like, I genuinely wouldn't change a thing, because I've been planning this since 2020, before I even came up here, like as far as getting my realtor license, or my agent license was concerned. Like, I started the coursework, planning everything out so that when I got to this point, I had mentioned about having the 2 years of tax returns. Like, that was all for a reason. I do everything with intent, and I don't do it last minute. And so I don't know. There shouldn't be anything surprising.
No, that answers my question, because you talk.
Okay.
We talk about exit plan, exfil. We're inserted everywhere we go, and then we got to exfil eventually, whether it be 3-5 years, depending on the duty station and the where you're at or the ability you're doing. We have to have an exit plan, and yours started 3 to 4 years outside of your retirement date, and that tells me a lot. That tells me that it can't happen 6 months before your EAS. It can't happen a year out. It has to happen with ample amount of time where you can steadily transition into a new job, a new headspace for you and your family. And for you, that looks like 4 years, 3 to 4 years. For some, it might look like 8 months, because they got it all planned out and they've been planning for 20 years, whatever the case may be. But you cannot procrastinate. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you got to give yourself an ample amount of time to transition, and it can't start 14 months from your EAS like the TRS little manual says.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself at a minimum 2. It sounds like 2 years is a good time to transition. And some people will say, well, then why are you active duty? Why are you, if you're coming in to get out, well, why come in at all? Answer that question, Wes.
It's too easy. That's crazy. That's a crazy question. Yeah. I didn't want to say something funny, but you know who Bryce Harper is?
Name sounds familiar.
Okay. He's older now, still young, I think, compared to me, but and I don't know if he started this, and now I'm kind of going on a tangent, so hopefully you can edit this, but his first few years playing, he was the number 1 overall draft pick for Major League Baseball. I think he's been playing for almost 10 years. Anyways, when his first couple of years, and he was just very in this moment, I guess I didn't follow him too closely, but just very maybe arrogant in this moment. And a reporter asked him a question, and he said, "That's a clown question." And I had never heard it said anywhere else before, and I don't know that he originated or not, but this is what that makes me think of. And I'm not to say that you're a clown or that this is a clown question, but like the whole like coming in to get out thing, like I don't waste any time on that, right? Like, I have tremendous amount of respect for anybody who raises their hand and volunteers, whether it's for 4 years or 2 years because something happens to you and you're medically separated, right? I don't care. Like, I just have, like, whether it's 20, 30 years, whatever, you volunteered to put on the uniform and sacrifice and do something. And I appreciate that. And I have so much respect for you, for everybody that's done it. And I come from a long line of military and generations and Air Force, Army, Navy. I'm the first Marine, but like, I just have respect for you putting yourself out there for coming in. So like, I don't.
That's a clown question. That's a clown question.
Like,
that's
you
good.
Came in, yeah, like getting out. So eventually everybody has to get out. Like I had no, not going there. People serve for over 40 years. Yeah. And like, regardless of however long you do it, you did it. And as long as you did it honorably, like, good on you. Yeah, it hurts, but
that's good.
No.
Yeah.
So like, if you have a family relying on you, and so this gets me heated as a father, as a husband with human lives depending on me, right? I'll speak to directly for anybody who's going to take this to heart, right? Because I hate indecisiveness. And at this stage in your life, this is supposed to be uplifting. Yeah. I'm just going to be a little bit more honest with people. Like, if you have people relying on you, figure stuff out. Like, number one, if you're going to be getting out, where do you want to live? The job is less important. Where do you want to live? Where does your family want to live? Where is your network, or not your network, your support system, right? Do you want to be around family? Like, whatever. Figure that out and then work around it, right? But that should be the most important thing. Boom, easy. Move on to the next thing. Okay, what jobs are offered in that location? Remote, on site, like whatever. Figure it out. Give yourself more than one option. If you have no options, what do you think the number one thing should be? And I'm asking you.
Oh, me? If there's no options?
Yeah. If you don't have job prospects, or you didn't figure that out, what's the next best thing that everybody should do?
You body should re-enlist into the reserves.
No, come on.
After family and location, and after the job is not there, then you should probably figure out where the job's at, and that's where your family goes. That'd be my thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's true too. But so I'm more leaning towards education. And if you got your GI Bill and you haven't exhausted it, whether you've gone on in service, like, boom, that's the next thing. What that does is buy you time. It allows you to accomplish something you should have already been accomplishing in service. But if you didn't, this buys you time. You utilize what you earned. It buys you time and makes yourself more marketable for the job that you don't know that you want yet, right? So that should be plan B. That should be your last option, right? I mean, everybody should go to school. But like, if you have people relying on you, you don't get to just meander around and just wait for stuff to happen and be direct. And so, like, I got it. That's my own life. And I think, like, as a Marine, I feel that way even more so. But figure it out. And it shouldn't be your last. I already forgot what your question was.
It's all good. Figure it out. I mean,
we're going. Just like, I'm getting angry right now.
Take it easy, Wes. Take it easy. I don't need to be at parade arrest while I'm on a podcast session.
No, you're good.
I'd say, transition. We all go through it. We're all going to experience the pros and the cons, and eventually we're going to get there. We can't procrastinate, as you said earlier, and we got to make moves. Like, we can't neander around like you would. Your quote is, we can't do that because people rely on us. It's not just you, me, and I. It's you, me, my wife, my kids, my bill. There's things I have obligations to, and because I have those obligations, you got to make moves. You have to take a 30-inch step and go, regardless of what you think. And I think that in terms of transition, you got to take the 30-inch step. You got to give yourself time. You have to. And if you're listening and you're getting out, or you're staying in one more season, that's fine too. But prepare for that season to get out, right? Do your job, because we're all going to do it well. We're all going to do 100% to our capabilities as much as we can. Everybody's effort is different. But at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, you got to prepare yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally to transition for you and your family. And that's what it's all about, family first, because, at the end of the day, my uniform's going to come off. Wes, yours has come off officially. And all you got left is you, your name, your word, and your family. Right? And
that's right.
So one of those you can't take with you if they decide to leave, and that's the family. Right? So you got to nurture your family. You got to be there available as much as you can. And that's what it's all about. Family first. I think me and you agree to that piece. But
absolutely,
transitioning comes with a whole hell of a lot of headache for some, right? And, trauma, anxiety, depression, it just builds up a lot of emotion, a lot of a feeling. And sometimes we go through some pain and headache, and sometimes we feel like we can't get out of it. And sometimes service members, unfortunately, take a decision to take a route that's least conducive to the family, to their people around them. And we talk about the 22 and how do we help each other in terms of pain, mental adversity, and resilience from transitioning? Because a lot of the time, those things happen after those service members have transitioned. What tool can you give them for their toolbox so that they can stay mentally ready and resilient for transitioning from the service?
Yeah, I think I've always approached everything with like a very simple approach, right? We already know, and for me, I don't know where this is coming from. Knowing is half the battle. I wonder where that originated from. But so I already know, right? If you are aware of something already, you are that much more prepared for it and how to act. It's not a surprise. So like I said before, you're not the first person to be getting out. You're not the last. You already know what the hardest thing is going to be, and that's not being around people, losing that connection, maybe losing that sense of self-worth. You already know that stuff is going to come no matter how hard you prepare yourself. It's coming. So you need to do everything you can to be ready for it. And part of that in preparing yourself for that reality is talking to those around you or anybody else with a shared experience. They don't have to be immediately around you, but we have a large network. And the Marine Corps itself is super small, but like service-wide, we're small. And social media like allows so many people to connect with strangers who have shared experiences, right? So staying engaged with people long before you actually make the transition and doing it constantly is going to make that a little bit easier. It's going to come. It's going to suck. But you already know that. So just start working on staying in touch with people, talking when you need help. And then as far as like getting ready for your transition, like be relentless in your pursuit of knocking out all the required items for the transition. They make it stupid simple. There's no reason anybody should fail. Good leadership should give you every single opportunity to pursue those things before you transition out. And once you get there, you can relax. But you need to be relentless and disciplined in how you approach that transition. Don't start 6 months out. Start a couple years out. When you get to that final duty station, that's when it should ramp up. As soon as I knew where I was going, I started taking my classes and I spaced it out because I didn't have a job that allowed me a lot of time to work on off-duty education or whatever, right? So once you get to that final duty station or the moment you know where you're headed, start knocking out all that stuff now. Go to TRFs, TAPs multiple times. You get that opportunity to do so. But you can't have anybody to blame. Like, you are in control of your fate. You are in control of yourself. Like, just knock it out. And like I said, everybody's going to struggle. Just be open to speaking about it with others, and don't keep it in. Everybody's going through it. Some people just aren't as comfortable with being emotional and talking about things. And the quicker they can get through that, the better off everyone will be. Because especially for a lot of the junior service members, like they don't know that these senior enlisted, these senior officers weren't just like them at some point in life. They are. And when they're surrounded by their peers, they act like children. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are, right? Everybody's going through the same stuff, right? So talk about it, seek help. You're not alone. And as far as like I'm concerned, like, I don't know any of your listeners, or maybe I do, but am I allowed to give out personal contact information?
Absolutely. Well, that was my next question,
Okay.
right? If they're inspired and they're truly mentored by what you're saying, where can they reach you at, Wes?
Okay. Okay. So like I'm happy to give my phone number. It's out there anyways. But it's 360-471-3435. And like, I aim to help out everybody I come in contact with. Like, I don't care if you're a stranger, if anybody needs help, they want to talk about anything, like it's life out after the military, life in the military, with families, like whatever. Like, I get more satisfaction out of helping people than I did out of doing what the job was, right? That is the thing that I'm going to miss the most, being able to positively impact people on a regular basis, because the type of person that joins the military is always seeking self-improvement, and they are there to seek that mentorship, that guidance, because they just want to be better, right? Whether it's 4 years or 20 years, just being surrounded by those individuals. I can't say the same for the civilian sector, and that's okay, but when I find that person, like, I'll drop what I'm doing to help them out, and that's what gives me self-worth, is being able to help others. So I'm gonna keep doing that for a while.
That's good, Wes, man. That's good. That's giving back your time that, you put in, and you don't have to, deservingly so, right? Because, you did a lot for this country. And you got a retirement, you got a pension, you got insurance, you did it for you, and not only for yourself, but you did it for your family. And it is a powerful powerful thing to do, and just make yourself available. Who just randomly gives their number out on a podcast and be like, call me. It doesn't matter who you're from, what you need, just call me. I'm here and available. And that's what truly service members helping service members is all about, Wes. And that's why this podcast exists, is for people like you to share their story, and for people like you to inspire somebody just to call, because somebody needs to call. And whatever the pain you're going through, Wes, you said it best. What is it, that quote? It's coming, or what is it? What was it?
I wasn't quoting anybody.
No, what did you? I'm quoting you. What did you say? You, yeah. Well, you kind of ruined this kumbaya moment right now.
I know.
What's that?
I'm just saying, like, everybody, you already know what the hardest thing is going to be. So prepare yourself for that, and you'll be better suited. Like, we all know what's coming. That time is going to come eventually, and for many people, like, it comes too fast, right? But that's your own fault. Because whether you're in your first year in right now and you got 3 years to go, that time is coming. So don't put it off. Like, everything you should do should be preparing you for a successful career in the military or a civilian occupation, if that's what you're doing. But everything should be preparing you for what's next, right? So I don't know. I will help those people out that have that mindset, that need a little bit of assistance, but I don't silence. Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
I will help them out.
Yeah.
I will help them out, but I am very judgmental, but I'm going to help you out as much as I can. And if it doesn't sink, if you can't figure it out, then, like, that's okay. You'll figure it out another way, but I tried. And that's as much as I can do. But
and that's good, Wes.
We all know it's coming. We're not special. We're not unique. Like, we're all doing the thing. We're here, and then we're not. And so we should just do as much as we can for those around us, and live good lives, be good people.
Hey,
so,
yeah, I hear that a lot.
You've heard me say that enough.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. Again, thank you for your service, to your devoted service to this country. You and your family, right? You've done. I applaud you as a father, as a man, and as a husband, and as a Marine. You've tackled those. You've juggled those billets in a way where your family's still here after 20 plus years, and that's commendable. That's honorable. That's respectable. And for those that are fathers just trying to make it, and husbands just trying to make it, just think of that. Like, you gotta be able to juggle those things. Those things are coming. Those hardships are coming. Learn how to juggle them, and if you don't know how to juggle, ask and learn how to juggle. That's the best way to put it. Wes, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Thanks for sharing your experience, sharing your story. That's what it's all about. Service members helping service members. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G and Wesley Rice. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast, and on all social media platforms. Let me know how I'm doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Ladies and gentlemen, we out.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and issues. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.